Alright, you guys, welcome back. I know this video is long overdue, and honestly, life in general is just wild, but we've just had some unexpected things come up over the last week or so that has just been a little extra. I'm gonna jump right into it. So I think I left off our last video when around 12 weeks when we first found out we were having twins. So there are 3 types of twin pregnancies, and I did not know about any of this, you guys. We have been thrown into the twin rabbit hole and have been learning so much. The first type is the least high risk, and that is called di-di twins, or the longer version is diamniotic dichorionic. Basically what that means is each baby has their own amniotic sac, their own chorion, which is the outer lining of the amniotic sac, as well as their own placenta. This is the least high risk because each baby has their own nutrient supply. They're completely separated. This is where you get fraternal twins. Occasionally they can be identical. The second type that is like a moderately high risk is mo-di twins. There's several different names for it, but I'll just say that one. What that means is monochorionic diamniotic. So this type of twin is an identical twin. They are in their own amniotic sacs, but the same chorion, and they share a placenta. So this one is more high risk than the other one I mentioned because they share the same nutrient source, the placenta. And then the third type and the most high risk and the least common is called mo-mo twins, which is monochorionic, monoamniotic, and that is where they share everything. They're in the same amniotic sac and everything else. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, those are important to know because when we first found out that we were having twins, I was not seeing a regular obstetrician. I was planning to see a midwife because I typically do home birth. I quickly found out that because I'm having twins and the state that I live in, it is illegal to home birth twins in California with midwife. So this threw me into a world that I am not familiar with at all. I have home birthed all of my kids up until now. And it's just one of my absolute favorite things ever. I am a nerd about home birth. And so yeah, just getting thrown into having to find an obstetrician now, having to get in rather quickly, having to be referred out to a maternal fetal medicine doctor, now having to give birth in the hospital for the first time. Not only that, but with twins, regardless of the twin type, you have to give birth in the OR. In case any emergencies happen, you are already in there in case they have to do an emergency C-section to get one or both babies out. Not only that, I have to, or it is strongly suggested that I get an epidural, which obviously home birthing, I've never done any type of pain medication or anything during labor. And so it's just a whole new world for me that I had to very quickly adjust to. So with that, we also did not know if both twins would be boys or if we would have boy-girl. Did an early gender blood test, which basically told us that we were having a son, but with twins, that could mean one is a boy and one is a girl, or both could be boys. So about a week or so after we found out we were having twins, Sammy and I went in to have a gender ultrasound done, which was so fun. But because the twins are a little smaller than what their gestational age is, they measure behind by like 1 to 3 days, depending on the ultrasound that we've been to over the last couple of weeks. But the ultrasound technician said, I'm like 95% sure that you're having 2 boys, but I want you to come back in about a week and confirm. So we went back at 14 weeks and found out for sure that we were having 2 boys. At this point though, we did not know what type of twins we were having. The only other ultrasounds that we had up to this point, other than going to this boutique ultrasound place, which isn't done by a doctor, so they can't specify the type of twins and how many placentas I have and all of that, was done in the ER. Now, the ER doctors, I have been there a handful of times for a subchorionic hemorrhage, which I will do a whole different video on because it has been an experience. And I know for me personally, I have found so much encouragement and just a lot of valuable information from other moms that have gone through the same or similar things to me when it comes to the subchorionic hematomas. And yeah, I just really want to share that because I feel like it's so encouraging, one, to know you're not alone, and two, just to get some tips and pointers and things that might help with it. So anyways, so I've probably been in the ER, I want to say 4 times. Each time in the ER where we have an ultrasound, they call the twins di twins, which means they're dichorionic, diamniotic, which would mean in theory that they have their own amniotic sac, chorion, and placentas. But the catch is they call them di twins, but in my chart it says that they share a placenta and that there's only one, which for that twin type, like I just got done saying, it is impossible for that to happen. Not only that, but from the very beginning, when we found out we were having twins, we almost thought that they were in the same amniotic sac because the lining that separated the boys was so thin, it was almost invisible. We had to like look for it. And so because of that, I immediately thought that I was having monochorionic diamniotic twins. But because the ER diagnosed them as di twins, when I first went and saw my OB, she looked at me and said, oh, you're having di twins. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually really not sure because of just what I've researched and what the ER doctors have said to me. I just don't think that it's right that they're di twins. I think they might be modi twins. And my OB said, well, because the doctors have already charted them that way, that's just how they're going to be charted here. And then we'll refer you out to maternal fetal medicine doctor. Another important piece here is that in between my first OB visit and my maternal fetal medicine doctor visit, I got genetic screening tests done. I had the NIPT done, and I also had the California prenatal screening done. The day that I had my blood drawn for these tests, I had just gotten out of the hospital after being there all night long hemorrhaging. And so I went to my blood draw, left, honestly thought nothing of it. I get the results about a week later, and my NIPT came back negative, which is a good thing, so nothing concerning there. My California prenatal screening test came back positive because I had elevated levels of AFP. I got these results and then had to wait a week before I could discuss the results with my doctor, which then led to having to see a genetics counselor to talk about the possibilities of what this positive test result could mean. It could mean a handful of things. It could be a false positive. What I did come to learn, which came to be the case, is that when you have bleeding, like a subchorionic hematoma like I have, especially if you have been heavily bleeding around the same time that you take the test, it can elevate your levels quite a bit because there's a rush of blood that goes through your system. So it just so happened when I took the blood, when I had the blood draw, that it flagged the test for a false positive. But what this test looks for, which made me have about a week and a half of just torture wondering if my boys were okay, is it looks for neural tubal defects, abdominal wall defects, and then specific chromosomal abnormalities. I had a genetics counseling appointment with the lab who looks at these results to kind of go into detail about what, every possibility could be with a positive result, what it would look like for baby, for pregnancy, for anything that has to do with an actual defect that they could find. Ultimately, the end of the conversation resulted in just really going to my anatomy scan the following day at the MFM doctor and having them look closer at specific areas that have to do with their spine, their abdomen, their skull, things like that, to make sure everything looked great. And I am happy to say the next day at my appointment, everything looked fantastic. After our anatomy scan lasted about 45 minutes. It was pretty long. And I was like scouring all of the images, making sure that the boys looked okay. And to me, they looked great. So that gave me a lot of peace of mind. And then the doctor came in and she was absolutely amazing. And she said, your boys look perfectly healthy. Everything looks great. She basically said that my bleeding was the reason for the elevated AFP because everything else looks fantastic. So that was absolutely amazing news. I wanted to cry. It's just so hard dealing with all of these curveballs and then finding out that there could be something really, really wrong going on, and just to not have information on that for so long. Two weeks felt like an eternity. And she said, and not only that, you guys, she's looking at me and Sammy, she was like, I know they call your twins di twins, but you're having monochorionic diamniotic twins. So she showed us, where you can see their amniotic sacs and how they separate from the chorion. So basically, you can look at it like this. The boys are inside of a house, which is the chorion. They have their own rooms inside of this house, which is their amniotic sacs. So amniotic sacs, chorion, and then they share a placenta. This type of twin is identical, so that means that we are having identical twin boys, which is absolutely crazy. They say that identical twins are not genetic, it's just by chance. It happens. Fraternal twins, diamniotic, dichorionic, di twins, that is seen to be more of a genetic thing. So just the fact that in December we found out we were pregnant, surprise, absolute shock to me. To go from that to then finding out that Sammy and I were having our first son together in January. And then shortly after that, we find out it's twins. And then shortly after that, we find out we're having not one, but two baby boys together after 4 girls. And then we find out that they are perfectly healthy, identical twin boys. We are just over the moon. Can't believe it. So far, so good. Because of the type of twins that they are, I basically see the maternal fetal medicine doctor every 2 weeks right now, as long as everything looks good. I have to have additional scans done just to monitor the twins, their organs and things like that. And then on top of that, I still see my regular OB once a month for now. Obviously, all of that will change, and I will basically be having weekly appointments here in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that's it. We are having identical twin boys. They are hopefully going to be waiting to make their arrival until the end of July or the very beginning of August. I really want to say thank you for being so excited about this with us. It is a little scary to have a big family and share that with how freely people share their opinion of things on the internet, especially big families. This is number 6 and 7 for us. I could never have imagined that I would be in this position. I did not plan for this, but it has been so special, and I'm so emotional, you guys, trying to rein it in, but getting to have this time with my girls while they're older and they get to experience pregnancy, and just getting to watch their excitement about the boys and everything. It's just been so amazing. My husband is currently trying to convince me to turn our backyard into a putting green so that he can teach the boys to golf when they start crawling, which is still a hard no. I just can't do it. But yeah, we are all so excited and so grateful for everybody's love and encouragement and prayers, especially. This pregnancy has been a little bit rough, not necessarily because of the twins, but more of the bleeding and the subchorionic hematoma that I've been dealing with, which is still an ongoing and not very fun issue, but we're doing good. I am going to be 20 weeks pregnant next week, which is a huge milestone to hit. And then after that, really every day, every week feels so amazing to just get past with them. But I am really starting to feel like I'm turning a corner. I am feeling significantly better when it comes to nausea, and I still have heartburn a lot, and I'm trying all the things to get rid of it, and it's just really difficult. Chugging water regularly, doing my best to get protein in as much as possible, but yeah. So thanks for coming along with us, and we will see you next time.